Good morning, my friends. How are you? How are you? How are you? Welcome to another edition of Behind the Mic with me, Mike Avery, here in the Outdoor Magazine radio show and a radio studio. And I'm here to record this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show. Of course, I will tell you who's coming up on this week's show here in just a little bit. First, I'm checking a couple of things. Hey, Cliff, good morning, buddy. How are you? Cliff is always with us on Behind the Mic and Wednesday Night Live, and he's almost always the first person to make a comment. So, Cliff, good morning, buddy. I appreciate that. How are you? It is it's a crappy day. Another crappy day. Another cold, very windy day. Man, we've had some wind so far this spring, haven't we? And for the most part, it's been cold. When you get a warm day, it's preceded by a cold day and followed by a cold day. It was nice. Hey, Mad Jack, how are you? Good morning. We were at my granddaughter's softball game Saturday. Thursday's game was postponed because of the weather. Saturday was pretty nice. Actually got some sun on our faces Saturday. And then up and down, up and down, up and down. Anyway. Tim Binns, good morning, buddy. How are you? See you next Wednesday at Wednesday Night Live at the Lumberjack Restaurant in West Branch. Tyler, good morning. How are you? I did not join the Coyote Coalition yet. In fact, I just saw this yesterday online. I'm sure Amy Trotter and I will be talking more about that. But this Coyote Coalition, from what I can figure, and I just in the early stages of this. MUCC and many others, myself included, and I'm sure the Michigan Trappers and Predator Callers Association, are not happy with what Justin Tomei is calling the NRC's kicking the can down the road. They had the opportunity last week to vote on reopening the year-round coyote hunting season here in Michigan because, of course, last year they closed it based on public pressure, not based on sound scientific wildlife management practices, as Proposal G requires. I'm not a big fan of the NRC. I've been very vocal about this. I think the NRC is. I am glad to see. I got a mental block, but she was a DNR wildlife biologist. I first met her down at the Gratiot-Saginaw game area. She went on to become NRC director, went to work for the National Wild Turkey Federation. Oh. I'm actually texting Amy right now. Miscommunication on the times. Anyway, help me out. Somebody give me her name and I'll come back to your comments. Let me check and see. I was working earlier with my mic, my phone, camera, audio. Oh, thank you, Tim. That should make a difference right there. Becky Humphreys. Thank you, Tyler. Becky Humphreys. Yeah, thank you. Tim, did that fix the audio? Anyway, Becky Humphreys. I am glad to see Becky on the Natural Resources Commission. She's to be honest, she's the only commissioner I would know. If the NRC was sitting in front of me, Becky would be the only one that I would know. So this is not a personal attack on NRC commissioners. It's just that I don't think they're doing their job. Anyway, MUCC's Coyote Coalition is a group that has recently been formed, like just yesterday, in response to the lack of action by the NRC. More on that. Mike, good morning. Chilly over in Canadian Lakes as it is here on the west side of the state. Bruce, good morning. How are you? Stolen Willow Farms, good morning, Jen. Good morning, Tim. Corey, how's it going with you, buddy? Joel, good morning. Rocky, you know I love that name, buddy. How are you? Tim, good morning. Dan, good morning. Uncle Johnny, how you doing, buddy? Nice to see you and Aunt Debbie yesterday. I was hoping that we could actually maybe catch dinner last night. Yeah, it just didn't work out. Yeah, Mike's working, but I switched him. Craig Plowman, good morning, my friend. How are you? Hey, Captain Mike, actually, newly, renewed Captain Mike Avery. I sent my paperwork in for my captain's license renewal. I was told it would take from 2 months to 4 months. It only took a month. I am renewed. I am renewed, Captain Mike Avery. All legit, all above board. Bruce, good morning. Hey, yeah, it's Jordan. Becky Humphreys. Yes, Humphreys, yes. Tim says, perfect. Thank you, Tim, for picking up on that. Mad Jack, yes, on the mic. Dylan, how are you? Dylan, I need to post your pictures. You were with Sean Hodges on Lower Great Lakes, Lower Saginaw Charters out on Saginaw Bay. Got into some wonderful fish, fishing on an angler quest, by the way. I will post those pictures. I talked to Mr. Angler Quest Brad Dupuis yesterday about my boat to run for the summer. And I think we're actually going to go with an 824 instead of an 826. And that's okay. And we're going to put a deuce and a quarter 225 engine on there instead of a 300, just as a little bit of an experiment. I'm fine with that. It'll be a wonderful boat. Joe, good morning. John Kirby, my friend, how have you been, buddy? Thank you for the nice comments. Luke Pulaski from the Outdoor Conquest, happy Easter weekend, buddy. I'm going to talk more about Easter. Easter is such a special time in the Christian faith, and I am a Christian. Easter is the single day, the single event, the single thing that makes Christianity possible, and we're celebrating that this weekend. So Easter eggs are cool, the Easter bunny is cool, but please keep in mind the real reason for this Easter season. It's about a resurrection. Because Jesus died and came back to life, the rest of us can live on forever in heaven. I mean, I'm getting a little deep in the weeds here, but that's the way I feel. And since Luke brought up the Easter weekend, I want to make sure I brought that up before I forget about all this other mundane stuff that really has no meaning. Butch, good morning. How are you? Tim, nice to have you along with us. What else? Okay, I got to talk about who's coming up on the Outdoor Magazine radio show this weekend. Okay, turkey season starts this weekend. I'm pretty excited about turkey season, as I always am. However, I suspect that I will actually not be hunting this opening weekend because we have a very, very long season, because this is Easter weekend, because my daughter and son-in-law, Shelby and Aditya, are coming home for Easter weekend, bringing my 6-month-old grandson, Bodie. I think a lot of the stuff this weekend is going to revolve around family. I am turkey hunting with my grandson, Trent. He has Monday off. We both have ZZ, which is an extraordinarily long season, so there's no pressure. I suspect we will not be hunting this weekend until Monday. Sending you a picture of my email. Cool catch. I had jigging walleye Lake Huron last Sunday. Please do, Luke. Jerry, good morning. Chris, good morning. How are you? So the turkey season opens this weekend in certain areas, not statewide. ZZ, we're good to go. The trout season opens next weekend statewide. The walleye season on inland lakes and rivers opens in the lower peninsula next week. The UP, you've got to wait for a few more weeks. Mike, good morning. How have you been? Haven't heard from you in a while. I hope everything is wonderful in your world. We have a Wednesday Night Live coming up next week at the Lumberjack Restaurant, 1 week from tonight, 989-343-0892 for reservations. I'm not sure we have any spots left, but it's worth a try. Randy, my family's coming in from Wisconsin and Florida until Monday. Excellent. So you'll be tied up this weekend as well, Randy. You know exactly what I'm saying then, don't you? Mike said Easter is a lot earlier next year. I wouldn't mind an earlier Easter so it doesn't interfere with... Look, the guy's got to have his priorities, right? I got Easter and I got turkey season. Easter is always going to take priority, but if those two big events can be separated by a little bit, it's like this year. with the second annual Mike Avery Outdoors Charity Golf Outing to benefit MUCC's Youth Camp. It's Friday, July 25th. The Angler Quest Owners Tournament is Saturday, July 26th. I got to put some separation between those two. I talked with Steve at MUCC about just moving back the charity golf outing to the first Friday in August. And we don't think there's a conflict there at all. That would keep us away from the Angler Quest Owners Tourney. Tim says he misses. Tim's an old guy, though. He misses a lot of old things. He says, I missed the past when the opening of trout season meant something. But I know exactly what you mean, Tim. Dave, good morning. Jackie, good morning. How are you? Jackie, All's house. I just posted a picture. Was that your son or grandson? Jackie, of Hudson with a huge crappie on the Facebook page. And I wouldn't be surprised if Hudson doesn't win this most recent Forward Fuels Tradition concept to get a $50 gift card from the Forward Corporation. I need my coffee this morning. Oh, what do my timers look like? Okay, I got to change those before we go live. That golf outing is Friday, July 25th. If you want to sign up to support MUCC's Youth Camp, go to mucc.org/golf. Now, some changes this year. Good morning, Mickey. How are you? Some changes this year. Aside from changing the date, we've also upped the price a little bit. It's $500 for a foursome instead of $400. Aaron, buddy, how have you been? Good morning. Nice to have you along with us. Here we go. Mike Smith of Offshore A-Count Sport Fishing. This guy right here is a fishing machine. And if you look at the catches he's been getting down on Lake Erie, it's very impressive. I find it very interesting, Mike, that the folks who are ignorant, and I'm going to use that I can't say it's a positive term, but I'll just say they're ignorant, and I mean ignorant as far as lack of information, lack of knowledge, giving you grief for Scott Hand to get giving you grief for people giving you grief for taking those big spawn-filled females. They say, yeah, that's the future of our fishery. If that was Burt Black Mullet Lake, any small northern inland lake, absolutely that would be the case. Science tells us, biologists tell us, that it does not hurt the Lake Erie fishery, the Detroit River fishery, to keep those big spawn-filled females, because there are so many of them that legal sport fishing cannot hurt that fishery. Now, could commercial fishing hurt it? Absolutely, absolutely. But when people give Mike Smith or Lance Valentine or whoever grief for taking those big fish out of that fishery, they're being ignorant, because biologically and statistically it does not matter. Tim Binns, nice crappie for sure. Grandson Hudson, master angler crappie. Excellent. Scott Hand, you got my attention. The 8526 is in tow this morning, headed to Linwood for somebody to get ready for a new owner. This is interesting, Scott. I did not know this, and you and I talked yesterday, and I don't know if you knew it yesterday and didn't say anything, or you just didn't know it. That 8526 that Scott Hand is towing to Linwood this morning, he didn't get it from me, but it was a boat that I ran on Saginaw Bay. At the end of the summer, I give the boat back up. Somebody buys it. Scott Hand bought it. Now he says he's selling it. So does that mean, Scott Hand, you're going to get a new Angler Quest QU-EST? Which is what I will be running this summer, but it looks like it won't be an 8526. It'll be an 8524 with a deuce and a quarter on it, which will be plenty of boat. I'm looking forward to it. Brent, my good friend, good morning. How are you? Corey Phillips says Mike Smith is killing it out of Port Clinton in Ohio. Jerry, good morning. How are things in Algonac? Mike says, those people know nothing about Lake Erie. I don't even sweat their comments. I tend to listen to the experts, i.e. Lake Erie biologists. When you say you listen to the experts, you would be referring to me, of course, Mike. Gene, good morning. Absolutely. You want to talk to an expert, talk to a guy like Ali Shakur, who we've had on the show here many times. Oh, okay. You freaked me out there for a minute. Rachel, good morning. How are you? Scott said, no. This is someone's new boat. I thought you were pulling your 8526 to Linwood to sell it. And I'm like, I started to have palpitations. I started to go, not full-blown stroke, but like just, I could feel it coming on. And then when you said, okay, see, I'm back now. I'm back. Charlie Root.
Good morning.
I did not bring food this morning, Charlie.
You never required
No cinnamon rolls, no Amish, no baked cookies, not even, what are those?
a bit of honey.
Bit of honeys, not even bit of honeys. I was hoping somebody else would bring food, Charlie, but I look around here and it's like a dearth of food here. Mike, we are blessed with some of the most amazing walleye fishing in the country, all within 3 hours of home. Too windy on Erie today, made the run to Detroit, jigged up a bunch of nice walleye. We've got the best walleye fishing in the world here in Michigan. Tim, people need to apply that logic to taking bluegills out of beds in an overpopulated pond. Doesn't hurt at all. Steve, good morning, brother. How are you? Mike says jigged. Rachel says she's looking forward to warmer weather. How are you? I'm great, Rachel. I am wonderful. Thank you for asking. I honestly, literally could not be better. Mike, been busy. Hopefully fishing later this week. Gabe is headed to Erie tomorrow. I might follow him down. Have fun, guys. Water levels. I saw a picture from the Airborne Angler, Marty Zaliga. And there was a picture of Linwood Beach. And Linwood Beach, I guess, has already redredged their channel, and it's looking good. And then Marty showed a picture of the mouth of the Caucalan River. It's going to be tough getting out of there. And I heard, and I have not been out yet because I don't have my boat yet for the summer, that the channel coming out of the Bay City Yacht Club and Sunset Shores Marina, where I keep my boat at the mouth of the Saginaw River, there's like 2 feet of water in there. So that's either going to have to be dredged or people are going to bump coming out of there. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting year. Good morning, Christopher. How are you? Mike, we got the ham we ordered from Michigan Brand. Impressive packaging. The ice packs were still frozen. Excellent. We will have a Michigan Brand ham at the Avery House for Easter. We have a Michigan Brand ham for every holiday. Well, not 4th of July or Memorial Day, but, the big holidays, we have a Michigan Brand ham. One thing about Michigan Brand and the Grillo family and Nick Grillo, they donated a bunch of product to the linemen last week or a couple of weeks ago working to restore power to northern Michigan after the massive ice storm. That's the type of people that the Grillo family are. They're good people. Appreciate them very much. Chris, anglers having problems fishing at Eagle Bay in Marina. Corey, I'll be pre-fishing Erie real soon myself. Eric, good morning. How are you? Eric is on the radio show this week, which reminds me, I better get to that rundown here. On this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show, first Charlie Wilsey talking about turkey hunting, then Don Levy, new member of the Michigan Wildlife Council. In our second hour, that guy right there, Eric Long of Long Line Charters, then Amy Trotter of MUCC, plus this week's Ask Avery question. The Ask Avery question this week is a very interesting one. I won't go into detail now because I really don't have time, but stay tuned. The second hour, last segment, Ask Avery question is a very, very interesting question. And then in our third hour, Captain Dave Engel of Best Chance 2 Charters, one of the best captains on Lake Michigan. Dave donated at the last, out of the blue, a charter fishing trip on Lake Michigan last week during Wednesday Night Live. And, of course, we wrap it all up with Wild Game Chef Extraordinaire Dixie Dave Miner. Charlie, say 2 minutes. When Charlie say 2 minutes, that means 2 minutes. Well, because Charlie's the boss. Charlie, I've been getting some grief from people about changing that airtime. And they say, talk to Charlie.
You've been getting grief.
Oh, you have to? Okay. Then I don't need to say any more. Okay, so there's hope. You know what people like to listen to then, don't you, Charlie? One of them being the Outdoor Magazine radio show. And I appreciate that. Michael, good morning. How are you? Tim says, have a great day, everyone. Yeah, because I got to start I got to start some timers here. This will be a 12-minute segment. There. And then a 13. And then a 7. And then a 6 minutes, 50 second timer. Okay. Now I'm good to go here. 12 minutes. Boom. Well, Gene, I hope to see you tonight on Wednesday Night Live. I will be here tonight for Wednesday Night Live. You know that. And hopefully you can join me as well. Hopefully join us in person for Wednesday Night Live next week at the Lumberjack 15 Seconds. Ricky, good morning. How are you? Captain Jim, thank you. Appreciate that. Right back at you, Cap.
5, 4, 3,
2,
2,
1.
1. Blast off.
Blast off. And there goes my clock. Hey, Jim, I was telling the story. My captain's license, my renewal came through already. John Littlefield was telling me they've been running anywhere from 2 to 4 months to get the renewal paperwork through. I got my license renewal yesterday in the mail. It only took a month. So I'm squared away, good to go for another 5 years. Don't have to worry about that one for another 5 years. All I have to do now is renew my CPL and then renew my license plates. And then my renewals are up to date. And we should have a new Jay's spot in here. I think John took care of that.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll trust you.
John, if you're listening, did you put the new Jay's spot in? If not, we can put it in later. I'm sure he did because he's very good at that. All right, my friends, have a great day. See you tonight. Well, thank you, Ken Hunter, for that introduction, and welcome to another edition of the Outdoor Magazine radio show right here on the Outdoor Magazine radio network on more than 30 radio stations across this great state of Michigan. Yes, indeed. First and foremost, this is a radio show. It's available as a podcast because everything in the world is available as a podcast, but this is a radio show. My name is Mike Avery. Been doing this for a long time. Very blessed to be able to do this. I love what I'm doing. How many people can say after 40 plus years that they love what they're doing? I can. I know I'm in the minority. I know I'm blessed to be able to say that. So thank you, my friends listening to this and watching the live stream here. Thank you for following me and allowing me to be able to do this. And of course, ultimate thank you to God for putting me in this position. Well, the turkey season, as you're hearing this radio show this weekend, turkey season is open here in Michigan. Now, is it open everywhere in Michigan for all hunters? No, but the season opens. I have ZZ. My grandson Trent has ZZ. So our turkey season is now open. And as I've said the last couple of weeks, the goal this year is to get Trent a turkey. Now, Trent's 23 years old. No, he's not a kid. He's a kid to me, but he's not like he's, 10, 11, 12 years old. He is a hardcore hunter. He has a lot of experience hunting, primarily deer hunting. He has never turkey hunted before. So the goal for this year is to get Trent into turkey hunting and to get Trent a bird. But this year, turkey season is on Easter weekend. So that creates some scheduling conflicts because this weekend, my daughter Shelby is coming home along with her husband Aditya, along with our 6-month-old grandson Bodie. So a lot of the activities this weekend will be centered around family activities and, of course, Easter. So Trent and I might not get out turkey hunting opening weekend, but that's okay because it's a very long season, and I found out Trent has Monday off. So weather permitting, Monday will be our turkey season opener. But like I say, we've got a lot of time to get it done, and I am really looking forward to it if the weather would cooperate a little bit. As I look at the forecast for the weekend, it's looking a little bit better, but man, it's been cold and windy. It makes me not so sad that I don't have the new Angler Quest yet because it's been so windy, I don't think I'd get a chance to get out there anyway. And the water levels are so low. Holy cow. That's a topic for a future discussion for sure. So we got turkey season opening this weekend. Next weekend, the trout season opener, the statewide trout season opener, the walleye and pike seasons open in the Lower Peninsula. Our friends in the Yup are going to have to wait a little bit longer. It's probably okay, though, right? I've been talking to a couple of guys, and they say, look, we still got ice and snow. My brother-in-law, Rick, has a place on Lake Charlevoix. And he said the newsletter that they send out to Lake Charlevoix residents say the latest they've ever had ice on the lake in the past has been March 22nd. This year there was ice on the lake well into April. Mother Nature, would you please? I don't know what we did to make you mad, but please, it's time. During my Behind the Mic live stream here in the studio before the show, I brought up the fact that trout season was open, and one of my friends and longtime listeners, Tim Bin, said, "Boy, I kind of miss the days when the trout season opener meant something." And I know what Tim means by this because, like so many other seasons, the opening day has become diluted in some ways. Look at the opening day of gun season, or the opening day of deer season. When I was a kid growing up, deer season opener was November 15th because we didn't bow hunt. I didn't bow hunt back then. There weren't the special early seasons, so the gun season opened November 15th. These days, November 15th is almost an afterthought. Look at trout season. When I was a kid growing up, last Saturday in April, that was the real deal. That was when the fishing season started. And to get ready for that, I would spend a lot of nights on my hands and knees going through the wet grass with a flashlight picking up night crawlers. There aren't many people who pick up their own night crawlers anymore. My buddy Tony is one of them because he tells me every year, hey, you tell this story. I'm still out there. I get it, Tony. You're one of the hardcore folks. A lot of people these days just buy their night crawlers. But that was, boy, when I was young, that was part of the preseason ritual and part of the adventure in itself. When you're a 10-year-old kid out there after dark with a flashlight looking for night crawlers, that was like a season in itself. That was like a hunt in itself, a hunt leading up to a fishing season. Because you'd go out there with that flashlight, you'd sneak up on these crawlers. They'd be spread out there with just the tail still in the ground. And that was the thing, right? You got to be fast enough to grab that night crawler. You got to squeeze him hard enough to pull him out of the ground, but not so hard that you break him off. It's like an art form. And then figure out a way to keep him alive. Do you put him in dirt? Do you put him in bus bedding? How long can you keep him? And then you take that big, fat, juicy night crawler. And the question was, okay, do I break him in half, or do I put that whole big, juicy night crawler on that hook, on a single hook with a split shot above it, and drift it down through the runs and through the holes, looking for a big brookie, maybe a brown if I'm on Duke Creek. People even fish Duke anymore? People even fish Cedar Creek anymore? I suspect kids don't fish it downtown like they used to. Are there even brook trout there anymore? I don't know. But there used to be. And you'd really, those big juicy night crawlers were such a find and they were so valuable. Do you risk putting a whole one and losing it, or do you break them in half? I digress. The Michigan Natural Resources Commission, a group that I will be very honest and very vocal, and I have been very vocal about the last year and a half. I'm not a real fan. And this is not a personal attack on NRC commissioners. Because, again, if you lined them all up in front of me, I would only know one of them. That's the newest member, Becky Humphreys. I met her when she was a wildlife biologist down at this Gratiot-Saginaw game area. So I know Becky. I think Becky's going to be a real good choice for the NRC. But I'm not real impressed with what the NRC has done lately. They had the chance last week to make a decision, make a vote, and reopen the year-round coyote hunting season that they closed last year because they caved into public pressure and the perception. They said, we're worried about the perception of the anti-hunters. What do we care about the perception of the anti-hunters? NRC, you are charged with making sound scientific wildlife management practices based on Proposal G that the people of Michigan voted into effect years ago. Why are you worried about public perception? Do something, NRC. Do something positive for a change. More on that coming up here throughout the show, I'm sure. But they are a bureaucracy. We've got enough bureaucracies, government bureaucracies. Although I was pleasantly surprised with the government bureaucracy here this last week. I had applied to renew my captain's license, my charter captain's license. I was told by the guy who taught my class, Captain John Littlefield, of Premier Maritime Training, he said, Mike, it's going to take 2 months at the minimum, up to 4 months to get your paperwork renewed. So I went through all the hoops, and I got it all gathered together, and I submitted it to the Coast Guard, and I got an email back saying, well, you submitted it in the wrong form. Here we go, government bureaucracy. So I resubmitted it, taking the individual documents out of the folders and putting them one by one in the email. They accepted that, and lo and behold, they approved my captain's license in less than a month. Good job, Coast Guard. Thank you. I love to see positive things like that. What else? Coming up this week on the show, Charlie Wilsey talking about turkey season, Don Levy from the Michigan Wildlife Council, Eric Long of Longline Charters, Amy Trotter of MUCC, more on the coyote decision or lack of. This week's Ask Avery question. Stick around, that's going to be a good one. In our third hour, Captain Dave Engel of Best Chance Charters, and then Wild Game Chef Extraordinaire Dixie Dave Miner. Okay, I talked about Easter. I have to talk more about Easter. Easter is not the Easter Bunny. It's not Easter egg hunts. I know we have to have those things for the kids, and we will have them in our house this weekend. The real reason for Easter, my friends, is the pivotal event in Christianity. As a Christian man, this is the highlight of the year because Jesus died and rose again on Easter. Because we have an empty tomb on Easter, there is hope for all of us poor, lowly sinners, that we can live forever. That's the real reason for Easter. I believe in that. I hope you believe in that. If not, I hope you at least take a look at it. But as you're celebrating with the Michigan brand hams, which are outstanding, with the Easter eggs, with the chocolate, with the Easter bunnies, please keep in mind the real reason why we have Easter, why we celebrate Easter. It's much more. I'm so glad you're with us on this Easter weekend. Stick around. There's a lot coming up in the next 3 hours. All right, my friends. America first. Get a life, Fox. I don't know what that means, America first. Get a life, Fox. I have a life. Best life anybody could ask for. Jerry, good morning, buddy. How are you? Thank you. I appreciate you saying that. All right, my friends, I have to go because I got to get to work. It's hard to call it work. I can't even say it without laughing. All right, my friends, have a great day. I'll be back tonight at 7 o'clock for another edition of Wednesday Night Live. I hope you can join me then. In the meantime, have a wonderful day.